Fresh data by CEO Score, which tracks the details of corporate leaders, shows that Korea's business tycoons and their family members kept top spots in terms of income in 2013. While the top executives of Korean conglomerates have long been the subject of envy for salaried workers in the country, raking in incomparable paychecks compared with ordinary workers. But now we're finding out that not only that, the income gap is also growing between industries. Our topic of discussion today, let's bring in Dr. Byoung-joo, the head of KL&P Consulting, and of course our regular commentator on this program. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Kim.
Good afternoon.
Now, we dealt with a CEO paychecks earlier this week.
Right.
And in terms of average employee annual salaries as well, we're also seeing a very serious polarization there.
Yeah, indeed. We see interesting data that show us that all these companies where the CEOs are getting paid really well, indeed we show a fast rising wage in those companies. And there are many important ramifications, not only for their industry, but also entire national economy as a whole. And as you can see on the screen here, first thing that you should note is that the tall red bar for Samsung, their wage average rose by about 76% within 5 years' time from 2009 and between 2009 and 2013 here. And that's incredible growth. Now, on average, Samsung Electronics workers are making more about 120 million won per year. And I'm sure, Kanyang, you're busy calculating where your annual earnings stands
I am.
Right. And just take a look at the left-hand side bars from Samsung there. You can see Hynix and LG. Hynix case, their starting point was pretty low back in 2009. And it showed about 51% jump to 2013 there. LG, it's kind of like plateauing a little bit because they seem to face less pressure here. But overall, what we are looking at, these three groups on the left-hand side bars show us is the polarization within the industry itself. And on the right-hand side, I want to emphasize, that's the only number I could get for comparison, but manufacturing sector average, that's the average pay for manufacturing workers in Korea in general, and that's 33 million won per year. So what's the difference between Samsung and manufacturing average altogether? About four times difference. So that's incredible magnitude of polarization we see within the Korean economy. So this is causing a lot of problems. Of course, Samsung deserves, and Samsung workers deserve this kind of high pay because they're making so much money indeed. And their CEOs are getting paid a lot of money, and also their workers should deserve this much money. But the problem is, as I mentioned before, this kind of pressure, when they raise their wage rate like that, it gives out pressure to the other companies in the industry, as you can see.
Right. I mean, it must be discouraging for LG workers, for instance, to be, getting paid half the amount of Samsung workers.
Right. And LG workers, many of them may be thinking actually about how, ways to move to Samsung Corporation or whatever. So that's a real problem here in the Korean economy. So that's one case that we saw in the electronics industry.
Right. That would be a huge loss in their part for human resources.
Right.
Now, are we seeing a similar case in the automobile industry as well?
Actually, yes. So let's bring up the data for the automobile industry here, and we see a very similar case here. Let's bring it up on the screen here, and I'll make the comparison once again. This is what we're seeing here. Hyundai and Kia, within like 5 years period of time, what we see is at Kia about 36% jump in their wage and 25% jump in Hyundai. And also, we can see the pressure being played upon Sangyong's case. They're showing from a very low point, they're showing about 65% jump in their wage. So that's intra-industry polarization we are seeing in those three groups. And compare once again with the manufacturing average. Hyundai Motor workers, they're getting paid about like 3 times as much here. And that's, again, very serious polarization within the national economy as a whole.
Right, so definitely a wide income gap even within one industry and between companies. So what are some of the immediate impacts of this kind of polarization on the national economy as a whole?
Immediate impact is, as you just saw on those pictures here, wage rise as a whole, because the companies are making so much money, and the workers looking at this much money being made, they're asking for more raise. And as a result of it, what you're seeing on the screen is happening here. The red bar is overall production amount in the case of automobile sector. And as you can see, as you can notice here, from year 2011, the domestic production is kind of plateauing. And actually, between 2012 and 2013, domestic production has decreased here. That means, what does that mean? That means losing jobs here in Korea, actually, and less workers, fewer workers here working here, while Hyundai, Kia are switching their production overseas. Look at that blue bar kind of skyrocketing. And what that means is more jobs for other countries, more greater production for other economies here, and those are the opportunities lost for the national economy. So this is a big cause of concern, and exactly, almost very close to a similar story applies to Samsung's case too. Samsung and Hyundai both, they now have more employees overseas, and they have greater production overseas here, which once again means all these great opportunities lost here in Korea, all result of this skyrocketing wage, once again resulting from all these big profits that these companies are making.
Well, I think this is a common problem in many countries, many economies. For instance, the U.S. as well. President Obama has been urging companies to come back to his country,
right,
to bring back jobs for them.
Right.
And I think Korea is that case as well. Now, what can be done to address this problem?
I don't think we really have an easy answer to that very important question. I think that question itself could be one of the most important questions that Korean economy actually faces today, indeed. And what we are confirming here again is all these companies, these two companies actually, just taking case, making so much profit and so much money based on their market power here, are paying their workers a lot more, higher wage, and it's pressuring the others to catch up with. Altogether, that causes the rise of the wage cost here in Korea, making Korean industries actually less competitive on average, and losing jobs as a result of it. So concentration of economic power costing the economy as a whole is what we have seen today in this discussion.
Well, perhaps fostering SMEs, which has been one of Park administration's drive for the economy, perhaps fostering them and making more jobs, creating more jobs on that front could be another solution.
Everyone knows that's important to do it, but I don't think we have a really clear idea how to do it exactly. We just continuously talk about it.
Right. It's easier said than done.
Right.
All right, Dr. Kim Byoung-joo, thank you so much for today and all of this week, and we'll see you next week.
Okay.